I'm very happy to introduce and share some information about Medigrowth Australia. So we are a revenue-generating private company in the biopharma space. We currently have product in market with a product and distribution model, as well as a ARTG registration pathway for registered medicines. So happy to tell you more. We're based in Melbourne. We have Schedule 4, 8, and 9 wholesale capability. So that's cannabis, that's psilocybin, and that's MDMA. I'll set the tone here on the disclaimer, forward-looking. Adam Guskich, who's in the room today, is the CEO and co-founder at Medigrowth. We kicked off in registering the company in 2017. To put things into perspective, 2024, there was still 2 of us, and today we're nearing 16 at our company, so we're very excited to share. Our team, Adam and I, have been there all along and are still operational in the business day to day. We have clinical, digital, health, research, and medical all supporting us in-house. Northern Territory and Tasmania are the only 2 states that we don't have personnel. The advisory board, ultra important in our relationships with Deakin University, University of WA, as well as some legal guidance there from the Law Squared team. The 2 top right-hand corner, they both run ARC training centers, so the Research Council is supportive of our journey. So our mission is to develop clinically validated and registered cannabinoid medicines. This is ultra important in access to many, many different indications. So our business really runs 2 engines. There's a commercial engine, and then there's the biopharmaceutical engine. The importance here is that we can be creating revenue now using AP and SASB pathways. So clinical governance is a main part of our business, and working towards that registration is key. So the current opportunity, around 1.8 million patients in the Australian market, nearly 3,500 prescribing doctors. To put that into sort of some context, 35,000 GPs could be prescribing the product at the moment. The difficulty is not having that standard pathway that all medicines have. And I think the last number there, 200 plus, those are indications that cannabinoid medicine is being prescribed for at the moment. So to give you an idea on scale and scope, that pretty much covers everything. This is our current portfolio. Being prescribed currently throughout the country by doctors and being distributed around the country. We're excited for this, but really excited for the next step as well. Generating revenue for a biopharmaceutical company before they've got a registered medicine is unheard of. Very few companies have got that privilege, and we're very lucky to operate in Australia to be able to do this. That number top left, that is this week. You know, I'm not going to shy away from that. We're very proud of the number we've got, and $5.5 million does look to be our target for FY26. Again, forward-looking statement, that will double next year. Perspective on the patients currently, 99% of patients are accessing products through those 3,500 prescribers. That's 1 in 30 people are completely reliant on that pathway. What we're trying to achieve and will achieve is having those medicines in a drop-down box at your GP when you're having medicine prescribed for any indication. I think this is where it gets a little bit more exciting. We've got that registered cannabinoid medicine arm, and we've already done a phase 1 and 2 trial for kids with autism. Our research partners, Deakin University, offering downstream support and have been along for the journey since 2018. The ARC Council there, training centers in both biomedical analysis and plant life sciences is being utilized over there at University of WA. So to give a bit of an idea of the life cycle here, Deakin, they support the downstream randomized controlled trials. They take part in recruiting patients for our trials, and they have been pivotal in our ability to legitimize the cannabinoid medicine space where others have come before us and not had that same sort of focus. The ARC Training Center, our PhDs who are working there are pivotal in our development for drugs. And the discovery with things like AI, machine learning, and computational data that can be derived out of the work that we're doing in the non-registered space will signal us for where we'd like to focus for drug discovery. Our current target, ASD with a 42% increase in numbers since 2018. I think anyone who reads the news probably is seeing things about the NDIS. They can see that there's considerable funding that's leaking and actually not helping people who've got these indications. And this is something we're very aware of. 4.3% of children currently in Australia being affected. I think you would have to go a long, long way to not be able to speak to somebody who somehow is being affected by this in their family or their social circle. 13 billion, that's a reasonably round number for 2030. I guess to put it in perspective, you get 1% of that per year, and you're looking at $130 million. Our phase one and two was for 29 children with ASD from 5 to 12 years old. The outcomes that we achieved were social relating was improved, significant improvement in parental stress levels, reducing parental stress levels, and most importantly, the P equals 0.001, significant improvement in anxiety and reduction for the children who are taking CBD. To put this into perspective, any of the medications that they were stabilized on, they remained, and CBD was an adjunct therapy. It was safe as houses. That was published in the Autism Research Journal 2025, December. Looking forward, we've got the phase 3 that's planned, that protocol is written, and we're preparing for a national multi-site trial. The footprint there, as it says, Deakin University, University of Sydney, and Queensland all participating. And ultimately, it's that registration that we look for on the ARTG to allow PBS registration and lower the bar and cost for people and parents who can benefit from this. A little bit about digital health. We actually have and own a telehealth platform of sorts. This is a clinical piece of software that really can aid prescribers, patients, pharmacists, and access to the products. For us, what is the benefit? This allows us to collect real-world evidence in the areas that we're having our medicines prescribed to signal where we'll go next on registration. The importance of the Empower project, this is the partner to our Azure Health platform. This is a Human Research Ethics Committee approved program for 5,000 patients over 4 years to collect that data and enable us to drive our real world evidence piece to coincide and work with our AI and machine learning to do computational development and identify where to spend our money on drug. 2026, this is the most relevant to today. Everybody hears about AI. If you've heard about AI in the last 4 months, the 4 months before, it's unrecognizable. We absolutely understand the capability, the requirement, and the access to real-world evidence that needs to be coexisting to provide the data for prescribers, for patients, and for pharmacists. This is something that we're putting considerable effort into, and we are very, very lucky with the team that's based out of the University of WA to provide us some great insight here. What is that about? It's about bioactivity. Our point of difference is understanding that the cannabinoid medicines that are unregistered at the moment are very COGS heavy. They are very early findings, and we will follow the same pathway as pharmaceutical development companies in ensuring that we can bring down the costs and ensure that we've got products that from batch to batch are replicatable and representable by the prescribing cohort. To give some ideas just on total addressable market caps and areas of interest. So autism spectrum disorder, as I said, we're working there now. That is our key. The findings that we've got is that anxiety disorders is where we've had the most significant improvement. Looking at that, there's anxiety everywhere. So this is a remarkable opportunity for us. That transfers across to the geriatric health conditions, similar symptoms from the autism cohort at times, and then beyond. We aren't the raised milestones, but that's the slide. Our next steps will require capital. From this point in time, we've had $6 million invested. Since we started generating revenue, we're now over 10 million. Next year, we'll be over 20 million and beyond. The value for investment that we're providing our shareholders, we believe, is integral to the growth of the business, and we've spent the money like it's our own money because it has been. So I thank everyone for your time. Feel free to come up and say good day. I appreciate the attention and the time.
Again, I thought I'd be neglecting at the start. I'm going to ask one for Todd. I'll hand you the microphone, Todd. Although you probably don't need it.
Thank you.
Telehealth, expanding massive business in the States. I don't know what percentage it makes up, but it is taken over incredibly. How big is that part of your business? How much do you think it can grow? What do you need to grow the telehealth side of your business?
Absolutely. Good question. I think across any country at the moment, telehealth is a key piece of technology that any clinic is utilizing. We've had the opportunity to learn. We had our first telehealth clinic that was a version 1.0 that was had a technology partner. You may have heard of them, Instant Scripts. What we were able to do is really glean the information of what we were lacking with that technology partner. So we now have a proprietary stack of software. We're just getting to the final stages of ERX conformance, which allows digital scripts to your phone, as any other clinic, as well as integrating and accessing that clinical data to help aid both prescribers, researchers, and patients on their journey. So absolutely, everything happens through a smartphone. Brian mentioned it before. We want to be no different there.
And secondly, you've got some nice revenue chart there, which seems to be going in the right direction. I think you alluded to some optimism for the next year ahead. What's the scalability model for you to take that into a hockey stick style revenue model? Absolutely.
I think that looking back at 2022 when we did $26,000 in revenue, it wasn't that exciting. But now hitting nearly $5.5 million for this financial year, we're not targeting that as our main business model, but certainly I think it's undeniable. Any business that's generating revenue, we expect to double and double again. So if we look at the timeline, drug development on the autism side, that's probably a 3-year timeline. Look at the revenue model on a 3-year timeline of doubling. I think it becomes a pretty attractive operation to be able to both either divide the business to a revenue business and a research business, and or have interest from others who see the revenue and the blue sky as the opportunity.
And funding yourself is a tremendous feeling. Got a business that actually you can pay the bills. You don't have to keep going out for the shareholder donations. You've got money to build. You can direct that money to different areas. Where do you see you spending some of that money that you've got, or where are the areas of focus that you think you're going to get the best bang for your buck?
Scaling the technology is absolutely the number one piece for research, for data, for deployment of real world information. That's where we'll deploy it, and we've been very lucky in that we remain as a private company at the moment with 2 decision makers at the table, and so as that money comes in, we're very mindful that we're able to deploy it in a place where we feel it's going to do the most benefit for us as shareholders and other shareholders in the business and new shareholders coming in.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Just before we get some